Hey guys, it's Sam, and I apologize because during this video my eyelash decided to kind of take flight and start betraying me and just sort of kind of peace out a little bit. And I was gonna refilm it. I was actually really mad about 10 minutes ago and I was going to refilm the whole thing, but I wanted my emotions and what I was saying to be fresh and like it was when my eyelash was migrating off my face. So I'm keeping it. I was gonna try to refilm this and then it kept lifting off again. I'm like, you know what? It's not meant to be. You guys are gonna get me in my little wonky lash glory, and I'm sorry. I hope it doesn't happen again. I hope you can forgive me for that little flaw. But I think this is a really good discussion video. I wanted you guys to get like the full flavor of the video and not have it be like rehashed, almost feel like it's scripted, and me to not have my heart in it, because I really like this discussion and I want to talk to you guys about it. So on to the video. Hey guys, it's Sam, and today I wanted to discuss using others as a benchmark or comparison for your own reading and why that is the thief of joy. So recently there's been a lot of discussions going around about reader fatigue or competitive reading or being a public reader or people shaming other people for the way they read, and I got very overwhelmed by like all of this because this was happening on Twitter a lot and I was seeing a lot of responses to people being shamed for reading a certain way. But I couldn't actually find the source of who told someone that they should be reading more or read less. So I asked the Twitter, I said, friends, I have not seen the source of all this upheaval, all this discussion, all these really fiery feelings. I haven't seen anyone saying these things. Where are they? Where are these people? And I generally got like there really isn't a source of this. And here's a couple videos that might have sparked this idea, but it's people talking about their own experiences, and maybe it's this video, and maybe it's this video. And what I came to realize, along with discussing it with other people, that this was a lot of people using booktubers, bloggers, it was mostly a booktuber conversation, as a benchmark for their own reading, and then feeling internal guilt about something based on viewing that person, and projecting their guilt feelings onto that person as the source of their shame. And let me tell you how this is a really bad idea. So one tweet response to my thread in particular I thought was really poignant, so I'm going to read it. This person said, I think those who are offended use booktubers as a personal measuring standard, and when they don't feel they measure up, it makes them feel less than. Very similar to viewers being upset when you don't like books they love. That was a very eloquent way of putting it, because I've always wondered, in particular, why people get so mad when you don't like a book that they love, because, like, personally, I don't care. Yeah, sometimes I'm like, oh, when someone does like my fave, but it doesn't affect my enjoyment of a book, but for some people, they get, like, super pissed off if you don't like their favorite book, and, like, all the downvotes come, and, like, all this stuff, and you're stupid, and you must have a horrible life if you hate this book, and all this stuff happens, and I'm like, whoa, why is this a thing? And I also was feeling the similar things from being like, don't let anyone shame you into thinking that you read too little or too much or what. And it was like, no one is saying this. No one is saying this. Like, no one is actually saying that. So what I've discovered from reading a lot of things and reading some of these responses and watching some of these videos, that it's people talking about their own experience and then others projecting their guilt feelings onto that video, person, whatever. So one of the videos that kept being referenced was Mercedes from Mercy's Bookish Musings video on reader fatigue. She's since done a follow-up video to that as well, but that's one of the first videos that I saw. So when I saw all of these tweets coming out about this, I was like, is this about Mercedes? Because she didn't say anything about that. And she was talking about her own experience of feeling like being a reviewer was kind of making her be more critical, which she was really appreciative of, but it was kind of stealing some of the initial joy from being sort of like naive out of reading. That's fair. It's also her experience, so she's not saying that BookTube did it, or that you should feel the same way. She never said that at all. It was just her own experience, and everyone's gonna have different experiences. I think we all know that. I think that's all fair. But people were still pointing to this as like a source of like, these reader fatigue videos and blah. No. Then there was Ariel's video about reading being a competitive sport, which was, she had a lot of topics that she covered in there, so like I can't really get into all of it, but I ended up watching that because people kept referencing that one as well. And again, she was just talking about her own feelings on it. She did reference and generalize a little bit about like maybe BookTube does this and maybe BookTube makes people competitive, or Goodreads and Goodreads challenges and stuff, and there's some credibility to that, that's true, but it can also be a really good thing. So like these generalizations are never really beneficial, honestly. Like it doesn't really work for anybody that way, because in my experience, which is apparently different than her experience, but my experience is these challenges and being on BookTube and reading critically and all this stuff has actually helped me to read a ton more. It doesn't make me feel guilty, it doesn't force me to read. If I didn't have BookTube motivating me to keep reading and introducing me to new books and all this stuff and like challenges, then I would probably be just watching YouTube videos all day, being a lump most of the time and not reading nearly as much as I would like to. So it's a big motivator for me. It doesn't detract or anything. But there's some people that feel that it does and it gives them some guilt and whatever. But there's some people that, like me, who feel like it doesn't. So this whole like discussion that we were having on Twitter about like, BookTube is bad sometimes. I mean, again, this was a generalization that was being made, but like, this is taking away the joy from reading, and all these big discussions, hullabaloo, was kind of over nothing. And again, no one, when talking about their own experience, is trying to tell you that you should feel the same way. No one. I can say that with certainty. No one. And even in like Ariel's video, she was saying that sometimes she felt a little bit like guilt if she would watch somebody's wrap up, for example, and they'd say, oh, I had a bad reading month, I only read 4 books this month. And then she'd be like, well, I only read 2 books, so am I having a bad reading month? Is this bad? No. That person is not talking about your reading month. Because I do this too. Like, I'll be like, oh, I had kind of a crap reading month, I only read like 4 books. Crap reading month for me. For me. This is my channel. This is my platform. I'm talking about me. I'm not saying that 4 books is a bad reading month in general. Literally no one's saying that. No one's saying that. When they're talking about I had a bad reading month or a good reading month, that's in their own mind. That's how they feel about their experience. So they're not saying that if you've read more or less that you're shitty, or that you're an overachiever, or that there's anything bad about they're literally not talking about you. So don't project your own guilt about, oh, I haven't read enough, or I'm reading too much, or I don't have any time. Don't do that. Don't do that. Because they're literally not talking to you about that. They're talking about their own experience. So what's really frustrating about this is the projecting really takes away from more serious conversations. Not that all discussions like shouldn't be had unless they're super serious or whatever. But I saw a lot of people talking about like, oh my gosh, more BookTube drama, and oh my gosh, more book Twitter drama, and I don't want to start a channel now because this is so dramatic and there's pointing fingers, and it's like, there's not a fight. No one's fighting. Like, this is not serious. This is not serious. Like, there's other things we could be talking about, and this is valid. There were some people that had said that they actually had real life experiences of people telling them in real life that they, like, read too much or too little, or whatever. But the main discussion wasn't in people's individual life experiences, because again, this is people's individual life experiences. So all of these people getting, like, a tons of retweets and kudos and stuff was just, like, they weren't all talking about their individual life experiences necessarily. So, like, again, there's a lot of projecting and, like, assuming that someone was talking about the book community, and then people assumed that there's, like, this big fight, and then there's not. And there's not. So this projecting thing can be really damaging to a community because it can blow things crazy out of proportion, and these discussions get so huge and they're like, not necessary. You're preaching to the choir. We all know to not judge other people's reading. We all know that. So maybe if you're thinking someone's judging you, like, that they might not even be noticing you. It's kind of like when people talk about going to the gym and they're like, oh, everyone's staring at me in the mirrors. No one's looking at you. They're caring about themselves. And that is exactly how it is with BookTube. I do not watch someone's wrap up and be like, oh god, they only read 5 books, what a loser. Or like, oh my god, they read 18 books, must have way more time than me. You know, like, no one's judging your amount of books read. They're talking about their own experiences and how they're doing and their own markers for stuff. So don't take things personally. Just like, if they don't like a book that you really like, they're not like, oh, you're an idiot for liking this book. Like, no one is saying that. So calm down. I think this lends to a grayer discussion, which I actually plan on talking about more in another video that I have planned. But sometimes you don't have to jump into the discussion. And I know that we are all really excited to discuss things, and I get it because I'm the same way, and because when I first started my channel especially, I like wanted to get into a discussion. But sometimes discussions are happening that are super simple, and there's nothing to add to this conversation. I was seeing so many threads of the same thing about don't judge people for reading. If you can't say something any differently, then maybe don't say anything and just uplift that voice, retweet that thing, and don't look for the internet kudos that you know you're going to get because a ton of people are going to like this thing because it's not controversial at all, because we all agree that you shouldn't judge other people for what they're reading. Like, maybe don't. Because then it becomes this big thing. Like, the other day, I couldn't look at my Twitter without seeing, like, all this, don't judge people for the amount of books that they're reading. We know. We know. Like, it was not a necessary giant discussion. It's a good thing to say every once in a while, just in case someone does have, like, a person in their life that does that to them. Cool. But, like, we didn't need all the voices to be talking about it because it wasn't a controversial topic. It wasn't a point of discussion. No one disagreed. So if you see something like that happening, think like, do I need to jump into this? And this is true for any discussion, and again, I'll talk about it more later, but like, if you see a discussion happening, does my voice add to this discussion? Do I have anything different to say? Do I have anything different to add? Can I just uplift the voices already talking about it? If that's true and you can just do that and you don't need to add to it, you don't need to add to the noise. Because then it gets super noisy and people get scared away over nothing because they're like, ah, the book community is so dramatic. And it's like, this was nothing. This was a big, like, thing we all agreed on. We all agreed to not be shitty and judge other people for the amount of books that they're reading. And no one's judging you. And it's probably important to take a step back if you think you're being judged by a booktuber or a book blogger or a book Twitter person or whatever, and be like, that tweet or that statement wasn't about me. Guarantee it. 99.9% chance whatever they're talking about is not about you, and it's about their own experience. Them saying they hate your favorite book, it's not about you. It's not an insult to you. It's not fighting words. It's not about you. Let it roll off your back. Because I promise you, if you don't let that stuff rile you up, your internet experience gets so much better. Because it's just like, it's way less stress. You don't need to be worried about what other people think your favorite book. Because it doesn't change your own reading experience and enjoyment of that book. Just like you don't need to worry about how much other people are reading. Because it doesn't change your experience of reading. Like, comparison is a thief of joy. I've said this before. I've said this, like, a lot on my channel. Comparison is a thief of joy. Flowers do not look around at other flowers and compare themselves to them and think that because that flower is so pretty, that I'm no longer pretty. That's not what things do. Comparison is a stupid idea because it makes you sad for no reason. For no reason. You don't need to be. You don't need to be. And something like reading is a really easy thing to step back from and be like, I don't need to compare myself to other people. Booktubers, book bloggers, book Twitter people, Goodreads, whatever. I don't need to compare myself to people. It doesn't matter if someone's challenge is way higher than mine and they read more than I do, or way less than me and they read way less than I do, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't change your own reading experience. Overall, yes, we talk and it's a very social experience here online with reading, but reading is an individual experience. And you can share it with other people, but ultimately it's your own experience. So don't let comparison take away from your reading experience and enjoyment. So comment down below, let me know what you think of this. Have you fallen prey to the comparison thing? It's almost a new year. And the theme on my channel lately has been like, new year, new you. So now is the time to just breathe, unhaul your books, which I will link my video about that on the screen, and not compare yourself to other people, not deciding your challenges based on other people. Just live your best reading life. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see all you guys soon. Bye.